Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is my first video using Java. I will be doing Java programming. I will be introducing you guys to Java programming. In this tutorial I'll be using JGrasp as the IDE. So let's start by defining what is Java. Java is an object-oriented programming language which uses classes, which allows for reuse. So Java is one of the languages that is mostly used for algorithms. Most of machine learning uses algorithms, and to make those algorithms fast, Java uses threads. Those threads are the ones that have to be scheduled, and they make Java to be one of the fastest languages to ever be created after C and C++. So let's dive into our first program. We are going to create our first program using our JGrasp. The first thing we have to do is to create a file. So you go here into files and you select new, and then you select the type. So since we are doing Java, so we select Java as our first file. Now what do we first have to do? We have to save the file first. As let's save the file. You go to files, and then you go to save, which the file will take you to where you want to save the file. Say I want to save it let's say on a desktop. I want to save it on a desktop. Let me name the file there. Let's say tutorial 1. Let's say that's tutorial 1. That's our first tutorial. Now to further dive into coding, Java uses classes and methods mostly, so you can't do anything without first creating the class. So let's miss the class. So the class name has to correspond with the file name, so that Java can process its classes, which are converted into objects. So let's create the file. So the file name is a tutorial. It's tutorial. That's the class name. And then what we have to do is that now we have to create let's just make a simple hello world, so that we can all get to knowing how Java works. Let's make the main method, since when you have a class you always have to have a main method when it comes to Java. Since Java runs the main method calls every other object that's in the class if you call it in the method. So the main method has to be public and static. Since we are not returning anything, we say it's void. That's our main method. Now the main method has to take arguments, which those arguments have to be a string. It can be anything you want it to be, but I'm going to specifically make it a string, since most of the time when you are using Java you use strings. Let's first just print hello world. So in Java you use system.out.print. If you say .print, print will print in the same line everything, but then you want to print everything that you want to print in a new line. The semicolons are one of the important things when using Java, because you can't do the program won't compile if you forget to use your semicolons. Now this is the program. It should run and print out what is required, but now you can't just run the code without firstly compiling it, because Java has to convert the file from being .java to being dot class, because it uses classes, as I said earlier on that Java uses classes. Let's compile the file. After compiling the file, look at the bottom here, the compiler message. We are waiting for the compiler message. It says operation completed. Now it means it's completed the compilation. Let's run the program and see what it does. We ran the program. Yes, as we all can see, it prints hello world. Now let me dive into it and explain what's actually going on. Firstly, we created a class and saved it in a folder. Now what we do here, we create a class. It can be a public class, it can be a class, but one thing, a public class is somehow different than a class, because they might do the same thing, but they the definition have to be different. So we created our main method here, which the main method is the one that we'll use to call all the other functions. Let's say we want to create a function now in this same class in our first tutorial. Now let's create a method that returns now. Since here it's a void, it doesn't do anything, it just prints. Now let's create a function where we will add a plus b. We are trying to add two integers. So let's make the method public. It returns an integer. It returns an integer. That's our addition. Let's say addition. Let's name the function addition. And then now let's get to add. So when we create a function, since we are going to add two integers, now it has to have signatures. It has to take parameters. So it has to take the first let's say the first parameter is a, and then the second parameter is b. So in this method we want to add the total. So we can't just create the total, we can't just return the sum. So let's create a variable which will store the addition and return specifically that variable. Let's say the variable, let's give it a type, which is type integer. Let's say it's the total. That's the name I give it. That's the name of the variable. Let's say the total. So we know we are adding a plus b. Yes, we put in our semicolon and then return total. So, and put in our semicolon. Never forget the semicolon, because if you forget the semicolon, your program won't compile. Now what we want to do is to call this method here, but we can't call this method since it's not static, because if it was static we could call it in the main method. Now since it's not static, we can't call it here. Now what do? We can either go via two different ways, which one would be to create first create the object of type tutorial and then call the function. Let's go by first. Let me demonstrate how that would work first, because we want to see how both of these methods. I'll first demonstrate these two methods, and then I'll go over some other methods on my next video. Firstly, let's use the definition first. Let's say start new. When you define new, you are defining a new object. The moment you use new, that's a new object of type tutorial. Okay, this is of type tutorial. Put in a semicolon, and then now let's print what taught dot addition. Now let's create those two variables. So let's say our a is going to be 1 and b, let b be equal to 1. Since 1 plus 1, we know that the total is supposed to be 2, right? Now let's test our program. So it has to take in the first parameter is a, the second parameter is b. Now we expect it to run and print 2, right? Let's remove this hello world. Okay, let's put in a string here, which is, that's our total. This is our total. Let's compile first the program. The program, if you compile it, is going to save itself automatically. So you see, as I said earlier on, if you forget the semicolon, your program will first not compile, because the semicolon means the program is ending the line. So now the line did not end, it gave us an error. Now let's compile again after we put in the semicolon, and wait for it to finish compiling. It's done. Okay, let's fix this, because we want to print an integer, right? So the way Java allows you to concatenate an integer with a string. Let's compile it again and see if what it says. It's done compiling. Let's run our program and see what it does, because what we expect is that the total to be equal to 2, right? Let's see now. Let's see the total. Yes, the total is 2, and as we can all see, now let me define describe what just happened. We created the object here of type this class, the class that we have, right? We created this object. In order to be able to access the methods that are in this class, we have to first create the object. The object gives us access to the methods that are in it. So we are using those now. How do you access the methods now? You first call the name of the object, which is here tat.addition. That's what I'm calling the name of the object dot, and I say dot addition, which now I'm calling the name of the function. I'm actually calling this function because it takes in 2 parameters, right? I'll put in those 2 parameters a and b, which is, they are defined here, 1 plus 1, which when I'm running the code, I'm expecting to see the total being equal to 2, which is this one, and we can all see that the total is equal to 2. That's it for today. I will go over other things tomorrow in my second video, going through Java. I will also do some definitions tomorrow so that we can all understand why we have to put in semicolons, why do we have to define an object, what is actually an object, why do we even need classes, because when you go to Python, you can run the code without even defining a method, you can run the code without even defining the class. But then what is this thing that's new with Java? Why do we suddenly now have to describe, do we have to create objects? Why is all of this happening? I will tell you all of that tomorrow. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel so that I can be able to make more videos like this for all of us guys. Thank you.